your screen right now. Spawn 24/7, all 10. They've lost 2 so far. The last one we just watched, but this time, if you're watching during the break, that fight ended in what, 3 seconds, Sancho?
And more importantly, they've been chilling in their lobbies respectively for about 25 minutes or so. So we all know that game of time to kind of chill out for a little bit, reset. We've been saying countless times, when they get out of Craigie Cliffs, they have the potential to win it all with a victory royale and double-digit eliminations. So now we're getting here of the FNCS EU before we crown either a defending champion or we crown a 3-time champion in Tayson, Nate, and Tayson's going to be that one right there. But the whole thing about this right now is, what kind of games going forward do these trios need? And Jonah Resguard and Savage, they don't need anything special. They just got to hold on, keep getting to end game, trust the process. That's all they have to do. Now, for people like Badil, Noah Riley, and Reason, who have been on a terror, making their way up, they just have to now slow down just a little bit more. I don't know. I can't get a pulse on that team. It's like a team I've never seen before, you know?
They have 3 VRs, and today we're watching them, and I feel like we're kind of getting tricked. Their entire game plan has been good, but they've gone down at 27th place. They've gone down at 16th place as well. They're a very flip-floppy team. Every time they win, Sancho, their next game, they don't get that many points. So we just saw them win another game, right? Game number 9 rolling in. And now for game 10, if the pattern continues, they're going to be looking at a game with no points again. They have to break this curse if they want to make it all the way up top on the scene. Chulak, Squeezy, and Jerky 2 have been attempting to be curse breakers today. On day number 1, in the first 6 games, they had so many good positions on height. They ended up getting taken over. It was tough. It was rough for them overall. Today now, they're in 2nd place. They're right behind this trio on your screen, Savage, Andretta, and Refsguard. They've had a great day of games so far, but they've also been a little bit flip-floppy. They have a win, 17th place. It's looking kind of weird. Everyone right now, this game matters so much. They have to be very consistent.
What's on the line is life-changing money. Hundreds and thousands of dollars for every single trio that we saw here are playing with that on their top of their minds. Every moment matters for them. Every build, every call out, every engagement's going to matter for them in these next 3 games. I can't imagine feeling the pressure. The only thing I've had that's close was playing in a local video game store. That's it. And my prize was a $20 gift card. So hey, that was the top of my prime, and I can't imagine playing for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That 1.3 million total dollar prize pool when it comes to Europe. $300,000 for the trio who's rolling in first place. Squeezy, Trulex, and Jerky could be that trio, but once again, they cannot afford to make any mistakes from here on out. Those last 3 games, they kind of shape exactly how your entire tournament run looks. If you're behind, you have a big chance to get ahead. If you're ahead, you have to play defense. And these guys are caught in between, Sancho. They're ahead of the rest of the lobby, but behind Titans, they can't seem to shake down completely in these games. These rotations have to be perfect, and the end game has to be crisp.
And they absolutely earned their spot. They're going against the Andalexes of the world. They're going up against an up-and-comer in Jules right now, getting tagged on their rotation. So they're clawing their way, trying to hold on and avoid anybody that's trying to pull them down and slip them. Now we're talking about movement. The deal, Noah Riley and Reason, 6 places they moved up. They've had 2 back-to-back games that have moved them up their leaderboard, and look at their strategy. They've just totally changed. And you know, this kind of reminds me of, you know, at Rose where we're watching like Unknown, and where all the question was what would Unknown look like in in-game? If Unknown down there in the NA, what will he do if he just slow down, be patient, that chaotic energy, that be able to box fight anybody? He was doing some things in the past that were just phenomenal. The same thing like as well, like Face Sway, right? What would Sway look like if you kind of got to in-game? Well, we're seeing right here a game that they just flip-flop everything, the script. They were getting like these 10 elim games, right? When in the early game. Now they're getting those 10 elim games at in-game, and they're getting those bonus placement points. That's why they're moving up the board so fast and ferociously.
For Vadil, Noah Riley, it only really is wins that are keeping them in this game. If they're not winning, they're having very, very, I would just say, middling performances throughout. It's like 11th or 17th rolling in throughout the day. It's not looking too good when you look at their team if they don't win games.
And to talk about it and put it in EU respect, like it's like, what will Wolfies look like in game? What would CRR look like in game? You know, what are those aggressive known players? What will they look like in game? And we're getting a taste of it. And we're just seeing that if you go do your homework, VOD review, they kind of tweeted out, we figured out a plan, and they're executing that plan so beautifully right here.
We're joining in slightly late also onto this game number 10, the fourth one of the day. So a lot of people have already moved off of their spots. They're rotating and the zone's coming in fast. I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, Forza Art and Lazy Lake, and we just started casting? No, this is all the way in a mid-game rotation, and their tags are looking a little bit low, but this is where they actually end up doing the damage. This is going to be a very good spot, but it's going to be shared alongside Fusion and Nexus down below. They love knocking on your walls, and then up top you have Scram, Putrick. We're desperate right now, looking for more points, looking for a way to get back into the competition.
We're talking about what does a trio need to come back. Thomas HC, Flick, and Anas have to have that pop-off game. They've been denied 2 times in this FNCS tournament. 2 times their signature pop-off game, holding on height, losing it at the very last moment. We saw the misplay by Thomas HC with the med kit here. Now, Reason, Noah Riley, the deal in trouble right now. Things are coming to this trio that they're facing is no slouch. They've been taking out big names throughout the past 2 days. And if they add Noah Riley, Reason, and Badil, which they have done in day 1, that's going to be the big blockade, slowing them down from making their movement. This is the 4th place team right now battling. I'm taking a look at the board. They're facing the 9th place team.
This is just so scary from all angles. Multiple knights on the low ground. They're so tough. No chance on any walls to kind of escape. There's a trio on all sides. Siptos on one. Anas firing away from the backside all the way up top on a hill 2. Nems Bubak on ways, as you mentioned, Sancho, not stopping the pressure. No Riley, Reason, and Vidil. They might just drop down to patterns. They won the last game. They might be going out early in this one.
This happened in game 2. Last time they got pinched, they were attacking Hen, and then all of a sudden, Floki's trio pinched them and wounded them, and they went down to a duo. So if they could solve what they did, the mistakes that they did last time, they could be able to keep pushing up their leaderboard. They did that by switching up a layer to staying away from that crazy low ground that's happening right there. But it's still, we have to keep an eye on them. That's what happened yesterday. All of a sudden, they just getting knocked down to a duo on that transition between early to mid game.
And now we see Anas, Flick, Thomas, Hen, Janice, and Chapix on the same hill. Noel Riley, Vidil right beside them as well. The top 3 from your last FNCS making a similar type rotation. It looks very similar to game 6 of last season as well. So slightly, you know, the zone that's kind of central going towards the south. It could pull up the Stevie, who knows? But Anas, Flick, Thomas, we were talking about them a little bit before as well, Sancho, when we were looking at, you know, how are things looking for them overall in these 12 games. Last season, after 9 games, they were looking a little bit worrisome as well. 4th place overall. They needed to come up and they got 2nd. They're now in 6th. They're looking for that climb up as well. We'll see if it's possible. Meanwhile, the big pressure from Bubak is too much to handle for Noah Riley, Reason, and Vidil. They go down once again, and it feels like the pattern will be true for this team. It's always a win followed by an early knockout. Noah Riley is still once again hanging on the ropes. You can try to see if he survives and plays for a little bit of placement, but they're kind of deep in this game. Reboots are very difficult to kind of take away when you're so close to so many trios. It should be wrap-ups for that squad.
If there's a solo that you want in that trio, is Reason. Reason finished 7th place in Chapter 2, Season 3. So that is going to be interesting to see what Noah Riley can do as a solo. But Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD, who have a great day 2, have yet to have that. They're doing okay, but not by their standards. And now you're seeing in the feed Blasters, who just finally survived, save it down there in Weeping Woods, not make it into the middle game right there. But Ryan, Lanouf now have to deal with 2 of the Titans of the region ramping right over them, and they're not moving. They don't want any piece of this pie, but oh no! Chapix and Flick are colliding right here, and Chapix gets knocked. That's Hen. They're trying to move up their board, but Thomas AC is trying to catch them from their ankles so they can't climb any higher.
6th versus 7th. They're really, literally clawing at their ankles right now. Anas, Flick, Thomas HD, making sure there's no chance that they get any higher. They're going to keep moving forward, and this is going to be such a tricky rotation, Sancho. We've been looking at wide shots of this entire zone. There's so many trios that key angles and locations. There's nowhere to really stop. Flick and Anas, Thomas HD have to keep going. They can't slow down.
and the ramification goes beyond just eliminations. Now that Janus is by himself, the solo champion here has to hold on as much as possible. I was gonna say Chapix is that in-game leader. He kind of puts Hen close to him, but now Janus is feeling the lobby pressure, and it's just too much. Nos, Thomas HD, take him out.
They got the elim. My question is, if they stolen the energy too, there's always one type of pop-off game that comes through with Nos, Thomas HD, and it usually happens when a top team goes down as well. This could be that game. We're on their kind of home territory on the right side of the map. We'll see if it's possible, but there's so many different trios, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. Savage, Repsguard, and Dreda are kind of gatekeepers here too. That Stinkbow, Sancho, you were talking about it. It's rolling through.
Noah Riley gets an elimination, so Noah Riley is still on his feet, adding valuable points to the board here, especially now that we're seeing the top of the board a little bit in shambles right now at the moment. So Flick, Thomas AC, and Nas, you're right. They're in their home turf here. We all know when there's a game on the line and you are the home team, there's just a little bit more pressure considering that the zone sometimes won't favor you. And I think for the longest time, this is the first time we've seen an East Coast zone in this FNCS EU tournament.
That's very, very tough. Last time we were watching yesterday when game 4 rolled in, it was Lazy Lake we were looking at. This time it's going to be Dirty Docks kind of, or at least the mountain where the grotto used to be. Savage and Jenna Refsguard trying to take away the life raft that was basically thrown to Anas, Thomas HD, and Flick, trying to get them out of the top 10. They're saying, no, I'm going to deflate it. There's no way we're letting you sit in this base rent-free. You're going to have to pay a little bit of tolls with your HP pools. And yeah, those things really bled through these builds. You can see Anas's HP, it's still slightly low. Thomas was on at 40. They have to pop a med kit to get all the way back up. They have to make this rotation now too. All that healing lost them a lot of time, and now every single trio is looking at them. But because they move first, and now these guys are moving late, they have a lot of different builds to kind of block the sight lines. They can just reuse them over, save on their mats as well. This is a pretty good angle as long as they don't get shot.
And along their way of this rotation here, very treacherous. You see Savage right there in the distance. We've been seeing Savage just rain down those stink bows, getting those valuable Storm Surge tags that way. Triple, Elocrass right in the distance here. Shakos and Gray close to height, but I'm just guessing EMXR is at height actually with Podosite. Very, very cool to see them again. Whoa. Now you see Jerky Trulix as well at height as well.
One of the mountain peaks,
yes,
and then Podosite and one last on the very other one too, so they have so much control. Endelux popping off against Nate in the feed. That's a top 3 team getting affected by some people who are way down on the leaderboard as well. Now Trulex undersurged, their entire team found some big tags. They're also looking okay for now, but in a desperate situation.
We're seeing what happens here when the FNCS on the line, former teammates could go back and forth here. Of course, Andelix and Nate being the duos champion. Now they're kind of go into this battle here. Now we're getting closer and closer to the end game. It's all determined where Zone 5 pulls. And hey, all you people that invested in this mountain real estate,
I'm really looking at the top 7, the top 8, and how they handle this zone. Historically in EU, every time high ground's a thing or there's a big mountain in the way, all those big trios suffer. You saw it happen in game 6 yesterday. You saw it happen in game 1 as well. It's so unexpected on what you have to do to survive these big zones. The big height is going to be tricky. We're alongside Kiriachi, Stormy, and Toos to see how they rotate.
Everything's going to be low. Builds are going to be low. If you hold on to height, you're going to run out of builds. If you're on low ground, you're going to run out of builds. If the zone keeps pushing further and further away and there's no bounce back, expect this game to end up and wrap up early, as you already see Queasy's trio already making a stamp on height. No surprise here, but let's go back into the ground. Look at the gravity of the situation that Flick and Thomas HD and our Nas are facing. Now Thomas HD and Flick have to go as a duo, Shio. This is not going to be easy because it is Savage and Dreda there at their front doorstep.
And Dreda actually gets hit by Flick's harpoon, so big shots, and wow, pulled before the wall comes down. Siberia knocked down by Flick. That's a huge elimination for the points. Big for the mats too. This trio has been bleeding on low ground ever since Savage saw them. They haven't stopped the stinks. They haven't stopped the pressure. Sancho mentioned down. Anas, one of the clutch gods, not going to be there to see the end of the game.
Man.
And their builds are on fire. Luckily, it's metal. It's not bleeding to the floor just yet. It is. And they have to go all the way into a corner. They can't really build another box. Look at Flick's mats. There's just 140 to work with between both teammates. Oh my goodness.
This is not fine. This is not fine. Now the zone does pull their way, but they're going to have a tsunami of trios. One that's riding, surfing the top of that wave crest is Queasy's trio. They've already and chop out who's holding it now.
Be surfing waves. We're surfing on the side of a mountain right now, Sancho. This is going to be a very tricky zone for all these low ground teams to play. I'm worried for Savage. We're already stressed about Flick, and they also have no mats. So up on height, Queasy is still trying for it. Here comes the big retake, blocked by a floor. He has to waterfall down. MXR was hit though by Trulex, and oh my god, he's completely down. Marine picks up Floki on low, but it looks like Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky have height again. The retakers on EU, they might be the best in the world in doing it, but their mission's not done yet. Kiriachi wants a piece of the pie, and he's going to the sky.
Denied by Trulex though. They have height. Time and time again, the theme for this trio is holding on height. They already have a victory royale, and they're right now in second place. But we all have to keep an eye on the low ground. Revsguard and Dread and Savage are still doing well, and when they're on their feet, they're not only going to get placement points, but the potential to rack up elims here. But the story is going to go back up to the height here as we focus on in. They've only had 3 eliminations, and they could hurry up. If they could get into the front, they could stop everybody that's trying to get to the front side of the storm and just get more and more eliminations. But look at how much this is so claustrophobic right now for Savage and Dread and Revsguard. Revsguard on the sliver of HP, and now Savage without shield is going to retreat back into the shadows and just hope that the storm just gives them a moment just to breathe a little bit longer. It is the first place on the line, and there is that big sigh of relief as Savage gets a huge siphon from Marine.
He has the HP, but didn't grab the match. Revsguard goes down. Right now, we're in the underworld of this end game. Another big shot from Savage. He takes down Void and Dread on the backside, but he's inside zone, getting tickled in the back, but it doesn't feel good right now. Savage down, and then a clap. That entire trio's taken out. The bottom side of the zone has been invaded by the high and mid ground teams. Queasy and Trulex, we didn't forget about you. Let's wrap up this game.
In a blink of an eye, they had low eliminations, but now look, they have 8 eliminations, and they're gonna get another one. 148 elo crash. You got greeted by the big shots right here, walking out of Storm, and now Queasy's just gonna get enough of the little builds. It's a top 3 situation.
The 25 HP rock shot. Queasy, what a big strategy right there to get that elimination. After that, more elims and siphons come through. 2-man situation on height right now, but they're at the advantage. It's a 2v1. Snazy is back and looking to try to clutch this from low. He has lots of builds to work with, but the pinch is too strong from the height god team. Retakes, pressure, and strategy you can't expect. Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky are amazing at this game.
13 eliminations and the victory royale. The adjustments are ringing true, and we're seeing what height is doing in this meta. Last season, it was the low ground teams is getting these high number of eliminations and the victory royale, but we're seeing that the air is a little bit cleaner on height. They're able to have that endurance. They're able to outlast the low ground, and that was a phenomenal performance from Queasy's trio, Shio.
Yeah, and that was just such a strange game for all the low teams. It was so tough to play. Zeke, Levin, and Reese need to break that one down. There's definitely things to talk about in that game.
Guys, I said it a couple games ago. These guys are the high ground kings, okay? I don't understand. They're not even in high ground, okay? It's like, all right, this is it, the tail of the competition. They're like, oh yeah, look, there's a trio above us, no problem, yeah. The moment they start to move, that's it. Queasy, he's up there. Kiriachi was like, oh yeah, I'd like high ground. That seems like a good idea. No, Queasy was like, no, here's one floor. Stop, don't move. And they were like, all right, sounds good, man. You got it, whatever. I don't understand, Reese. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know how.
It was the chop play that really did it for them. Obviously, they saw they weren't on that 5th zone. They chopped it out. They managed to just get it from there. And like you said, you know, we did see Kiriachi's team going for that. But you noticed that I'm pretty sure Trulex had peppers at that time because he flew ahead. If not, he was just ahead of the game, flew up, took height from there. But one of the big notes to know about that game is we've been talking about this team repeatedly having low eliminations over and over. Every single time on the first day, these guys had 3, 4 elims, pretty much none coming to movement. I think there was an 11 or 12 elimination game there, which is significantly higher than normal. They were 25 points behind first coming into this, so that could be a huge clutch. They may have actually overtaken first place there.
Yeah, that is a genuine possibility as we sort of get into the final stages of the tournament. It's crazy to think that's possible, especially with how long it feels like Savage's trio has been above. But looking at these guys, man, all season long, when we've seen them get an opportunity to shine in, you know, these sort of final formats, there's literally been nothing that they've like done that suggested they wouldn't be able to perform like this. Like before that sort of run they started to have, it was always Queasy's the most unlucky player, always having hardware issues, never able to play out a tournament fully due to some issues. And now that they don't have these issues, they are solidifying themselves as one of the best teams in the EU. Their style is so recognizable, and it has just been so fun to watch.
And you know what? To win the FNCS potentially, maybe all it took was Queasy to buy a new PC.
That's all it took. That's all it took.
There we go. That's all it took. That's all it took. The second VR on the day, but third of the competition. Absolutely insane. Now, boys, we only have 2 games left to go. So I want to kind of turn our attention to teams 4, 5, and 6 coming into this last game that we watched. I mean, we kind of have to set the stage here, Levin. What do they need to do to look and strike that #1 spot?
Well, I think the big thing for all of these teams is that they have been incredibly consistent to remain at this point, right? All of these teams seem to have been in this position for quite a while. You know, you look at Stormy, right, Kyriach, and Tuse. It's weird, I don't have much critique of them. I think they just really need to have that game where they do just get a victory royale, right? They are still lacking that victory royale to sort of solidify themselves. And so maybe that's what they need to push themselves into contention.
Yeah, and you know, you said no critiques, and I totally agree with you on their team. They're really, really consistent, but just not managing to have those big games that they need. But again, Flick and Aston Thomas kind of in a similar boat, but they've had maybe one good big pop-off game, which obviously we saw was the game where they didn't quite manage to pick up the victory round, game 1 today. So you know they were down kind of that 5th to 6th range, and you know for these guys they obviously want first, but I think top 3 is really where they're looking at right now.
Yeah, and reason O'Reilly of a deal went down in 20 massive victory royale games because they have dropped down to 5th, but look at who's taken over first place. Stuff.
This is actually really insane because I think this is the first time today that we've seen Rescard and Savage lose the first place slot. So right, this is the first time they've gone down, but again, only 5 points between it. And man, if you look at this, you see Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky all the way with 3 victory royales. Every time we look at a match, 5th zone, we talk about them. They're relevant. It's hard. Days.
100%. Now let's take a look at 11 to 20 because some of these teams will still need to have big games if they want to push themselves into that top 10. Look, if first place becomes out of grabs, you still want top 3, right? You want an auto-qual spot for the next finals. Some of these teams may be able to do that. I feel like we have the same conversation about Joe, Stompy, and Shadow. They had that one victory yesterday, not been able to do much outside of that. I think a big disappointment here is Red Rush Exteriors and Mappy, who came into today in what, 2nd place or something?
They're 3rd, yeah.
You know, 3rd place, and now they're sitting in 12th, right? Things have really fallen off for them. They need to sort of pick things up. And Floki, Clement, and the Sipsos, to me, right, they're what, the 2nd best team today if you were just getting the standings from today. They've been like a top 3 team today, but because of their failings from yesterday, it is still an uphill battle for them.
Yeah, yesterday is a day that they probably won't want to talk about too much, to be honest. But you know, we dropped 17 eliminations, had 2 other games in double digits. You've got to think that Flo's Kaiser Hellfire, if they get going, if they get situated on a low ground situation where Savage is not already there, these guys must be able to pop off a huge amount. And yes, they're currently in 20th, right? They're not in there. But again, every time you climb placements higher from here, more and more earnings over and over again. So it's definitely worth, and obviously the bragging rights. Came 15th, sounds much cooler than 20th.
Bragging rights. Yeah, 100%. You always want the bragging rights. And the extra dosh does help a bit, doesn't it? So,
a little bit.
Not bad. Yeah.
Oh, man, boys. We only have 2 games left to go. It is a battle between 1st and 2nd place. How is this all going to go? How is this going to unfold? Hang on to your seats, Fortnite fam. We're going into the next game on the day. Sancho with Shy Wager. Back over to you, friends.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Levin, and Reese. Two teams at the top with 2 more games left to play. Sancho could not be more perfect. This game matters the most for everyone on the board, though.
It's a 2-trio race, and it's going to come down to the final moments. 2 more games here for the FNCS EU region. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, over $1 million prize pool is at stake. And now, Trulix, Queasy, and Jerky, the only thing that concerns me is this split that they have. We saw in the qualifier stage numerous times somebody random just hiding and waiting out, where they go to that character down there in Flush Factory. And look, bad sniper Marvin trying to be the kind of spoilers here for a moment, looking to all that they can to kind of return their fate and maybe net themselves a little bit more scratch.
Trulix is hyper aware. They've been interrupted so many times in unique ways. They're done playing it, you know, risky whatsoever. They always leave one person behind. This time it'll be Trulix. And make sure no one's flying in. He always ends up landing early because this kind of generator building is on the upside, a higher point of landing. So everyone else on their team, Queasy and Jerky, they end up going a lot lower. They're still gliding. Meanwhile, Trulix can be active and defend the team. Save it already down in the feed to Nikov. That Weeping Woods fight is just going over and over and over again. Past that, Noah Riley, Vidil, Reason. I mean, this has to be the game to watch for them. Every time they have a good game, it's followed by a bad one. Every time they have a bad game, it's followed by a first place, at least today. So patterns are correct. They could win this game and have a big showing. Meanwhile, at Craggy Cliffs, 11th game, Sancho, the fights don't stop.
This is going to be monumental for Chapix and Hen and Janice. They have to walk away from Craggy Cliffs for them to have a chance to catch up. Right now, they slipped down 1 spot. Now they're in 8th place. This is what happens here when you're being contested. Chris, Vortex, Knight, the thorn on our champion side here. This is one of those teams that just haven't been able to, you know, discourage them from dropping. It was that one loss that they had in the previous day. Take a look here. The winner of the last 2 EU finals had 3 victory royales, and we had 2 trios in this tournament here from Vidil and Jerky's trio, having already accomplished that. But there's still 2 more games left. We'll all have eyes on these engagements and, of course, our elimination feed.
Man, the slow burn type of game just kind of ruins the game plan for Chapix, Janice, and Hen. They like having control of the map as well as fighting this kind of big battle off spawn. It's going to be tough, Sancho. We're talking about they need this game is because they're in 8th place rolling in, about 90 points away from first place. They definitely need a double-digit elim win to catch up for the win. In terms of catching up, you know, to top 3, they're about 30-ish points away. So once again, a game of a difference. They're going to disengage. Haven't seen this happen today yet. It did happen yesterday. They go for the fish. They're going to be looking good so far. Going to have less loot though overall and be bad on time. The last time they disengaged, I believe they had a little bit of a closer zone. This time we're going towards what looks like Holly or Slurpee. It's going to be rough for them on rotate. They have to do this fast. And already I feel like Podesire MXR from Stealthy Stronghold is already on this island. Or my apologies, Bubak actually, who's landing over at Stealthy. And he's on this island, is already fished up a little bit. I think Janice and Chapix know on the top right POV. They might hunt him down, but he's already leaving the island. And look at Chris in the water, the yellow arrows on the map. We're at Slurpee right now, but they're chasing down our previous FNCS champions. They're not letting them get away for free.
We're here at Slurpee to keep tabs on the 4th place team of Kiriachi, Stormy, and Toos. The team that have just been having a really solid run, free rotations. Usually when you have Slurp Factory contested here and now going up against, that is Shadow's trio there who are doing that Shantytown split. Now we have eyes here on the 2nd place team who have been holding on to 1st place throughout the entire tournament. And they've just been kind of just putting in kind of like a points, like really solid, you know what I mean? But when you have the teams that have been putting in some astronomical numbers, some huge performances like Vidil and Queasy, who has just been just as consistent, but you're just seeing the 2 clashes of meta style, right? The high ground and the low ground. And right now the high ground is just winning it out and they have the advantage, but it's only by 5 points. So look at the gold number right now. That is just in this session, 118. On the other side, Queasy is at 136. So if Refsguard's trio could get those 5 points, they automatically close the gap in the cumulative leaderboard.
Absolute 5-point difference. At the same time, here is the catch up. We're fighting this fight on a brand new map. It looks like usually Craggy Cliffs. Now we're on that flopper island. Chapix, Janice, and Hen have all the high points, but High Chris has actually made a little bit of a base on the right side. Gonna be looking for a shot, but he's playing it sneaky. They're not letting these guys extend these builds whatsoever because they might be able to find High Chris on his spot. Very smart from Vortex. As he does that though, gets bopped, low on shields. Janice down below too, and he's almost down with no HP.
What a great adjustment from High Chris Trio. Last time they let this trio disengage to Flopper Island. This time they decided to take the fight to them right on the island.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be the wrap-up of the tournament as well. There's no point really for this trio to roll in and disengage. They're going to keep chasing down, but Chapix stops their chase at least a little bit. Knight's 1 HP too. If he drops down and sees him with a quick flick, he can end his big run too. He's going to stay sneaky. Meanwhile, because of this, there'll be enough relief of pressure for Janice to get revived back up. A medkit in play too. They're going to be looking fine for now. Once again, though, Sancho, zone is not here. And these guys are already running through their meds and loot. Look at Chapix's inventory. This is not a Chapix loadout. Makeshift AR, blue pump. Finally find the sneaky man. Good night. Good night, literally. And that's gone. So these guys get to play their game out for the rest of game number 11. The thing is, though, they had to invest so much here. Look at all the hard mats. They barely got the fish, and zone's coming in.
It is vital for them to find a vehicle like you see a Gnosis Trio, put some chunker tires on that, which is a new introduction here in the season that just allows you to move like right over the terrain a lot faster. So they're going to sit there on Flopper Island, no doubt, hit up all the fishing holes. I've seen Thomas AC Flick and Anas here are going to visit this character. They'll be able to buy a Rift, and they're going to be able to move on through. It's so exciting to always see a Rift. It just makes me so nostalgic. Oh, Rift to Ghost, I love you.
They'll be able to rotate fast. Meanwhile, Savage, oh my goodness, almost thrown off course. It's good.
It's a little, it's a little tough. The chunker tires a little bit, the suspension's a little high, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were made to literally jump buildings, but Refsguard makes it happen. And while he does that, they're going to look for tags as well. This is a mobile surge vehicle, and they're looking for it. They'll try to go for it. They'll move out. Refsguard will be able to heal and drive at the same time, or at least be in the car at the same time as he heals. Tulek, Squeezy, and Jerky, though. This is kind of the perspective. Second place and first, back to back. They got twos. I think they'll look to just hit that bow shot with the pump shot. Yes, they combine it for the big surge tags too. And that's going to be looking good for them overall. Stinkfish, 6 of them in play. You saw before, Sancho, Stinkfish kind of ruined one of their games. Now they're going to look to actually use them to get ahead of the competition.
Sometimes the Slurp Factory team used to go out into these fishing spots. They become fishermen for a bit. That's a big part of Kirachi's game plan. They have about 3 slots that's all dedicated to heals with floppers and mobility. If they had a spicy fish, that's what they use to overtake height. So that's why you found, you know, two's way out there by themselves. So that's a great adjustment by Queasy's trio deciding to push, which has been so far a chill ride for that team coming out of Slurp Factory.
And from the top 10 right now, you're also looking to grab mountains or grab guardian posts. You saw Anas at one of them. Refsguard's going to be up towards the middle of the spire as well.
5 points, bro. 5 points. This is going, you know what I mean? That's what separates them from first place. And we already saw Queasy got another one, so it's actually 7 points, right? The elimination, 7. We have yet to get to that placement threshold in the top 25, so 7 points right now separating first and second.
Meanwhile, everyone's trying to catch up. They're kind of in a little bubble of their own, about 50 points ahead of everyone else. Anas, Flick, and Thomas, even the team all the way up top with Alex Nazy, they need wins. They need wins right now to get all the way up top, but only one team can walk away with that victory royale. Only one team can really afford to push for double-digit elims and be safe at the same time. So Anas, Flick, and Thomas will try to. Gonna keep rotating away.
And I have to say, you know, Andalix, they're coming back slowly. They're in top 10. In the previous game, they moved up from 13th to 10th place. They have 190 points. They're slowly turning their fate. It's one of those teams, just like in the playoffs of any kind of sports. They're a veteran team. You don't want to see them. You know they're going to be a tough out if they're along their rotation. So no doubt seeing an Andalix trio sitting in front of you, that's not good news for Anas, because that trio is going to continue on their rotations. As you see, Reason actually knocking Pizza in the feet.
Pizza going down. Reason feels like these guys are already hot off their step, looking to have another great game. Zyku-san and Jules, I would say one of the most surprising performances of this FNCS. Rolling in, they look so good on height. They look so good in their heat as well. They just lack that experience of control. But so far today, 7th place. They're right behind Flickanos Thomas and ahead of Janice Chapix and Hen. They're next to legendary names rolling in on one of their first FSCSs, looking really good too. They're just having a very stellar performance. Excited to see how they look in future seasons. The games aren't even done today. If they figure out how to make up for their lack of experience, take more risks, they can get even higher on the boards today.
They didn't even make it into round 4 of any of the qualifiers, so they are progressing, right? And you're right, if the career trajectory, if they decide to stay together as a trio, they could definitely keep having a better performance in the next finals.